Well, hi guys, welcome and who dat? I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in to Rosenfield 10, where I cover our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. If you're a Who Dat fan, subscribe to my channel. I love the Saints as much as you do, and I love talking about them. There's not really much to talk about, in my opinion, right now, but I'm going to go ahead and give you a video. I haven't done one in a while. This one's going to talk about the OTAs. I'll give you a breakdown of what I've seen so far, and I'll also give you a 53-man roster prediction of sorts. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, but a lot of it's not really that important because nothing's determined yet. It's all just guesses. Every Saints content provider is giving you videos with titles that are questions because we have a lot of questions. And I guess you could talk about that, I guess, but I did a video not too long ago breaking down the defensive line, and in that video I break down the whole roster, not just the defensive line. And a lot of the questions that I pose in that video, which was weeks before rookie minicamp and OTAs, are some of the same questions that are being asked now. So I apologize if you like this channel and you're subscribed that I haven't given you a video in a couple of weeks. I'm not going to go into the details of what's going on right now, personal stuff. It's just that a lot of it's just hearsay. A lot of it's just pondering. And I do pondering on that defensive line video, so go ahead and check that one out. If you're wondering what everybody else has been talking about for the last couple of weeks, I already talked about it in that video. In this video, I'll tell you about some of the roster additions and moves we've made. So we're going to pull up the offense first. Yeah, we've got the wrestler's kid at wide receiver now, and we've got all of our undrafted rookies, and nobody ever shows you the full roster, so that's why I'm here. I'm here to show you everybody, and this is the full 90-man roster as it stands right now. This is the offense. And if you're interested in looking at that any longer, pause the video and take a look at it. All right, that's the offense. Now let's pull up the defense. Defensive moves that we have made recently. We signed our linebacker coach's kid, Jackson Sermon. He's a linebacker. And in order to make room for him on the roster, we released McClendon, who was an undrafted cornerback. So McClendon is no longer on the team. We have Sermon. We had to get another linebacker body in there, so we go ahead and bring the coach's kid in. And other than that, yeah, it's a bunch of questions, but this is the rest of the 90-man roster as far as the defense goes. You can pause the video here if you want to see this list longer. All right, and if you counted everybody up, the only ones you're missing are the kicker, undrafted from Texas, Crosby. We've got the long snapper, Zach Wood, and we've got the punter, Ryan Wright. Now, kicker Charlie Smith is back on the exempt roster spot for being a, foreign player. So that's where he fits in as the 91st player. He's not counted as a roster spot right now. And if he becomes our kicker, he'll have to have a place on the 53-man roster, which doesn't get determined until preseason. So those are the roster moves that we made recently. So let's talk about the OTAs. We've had a couple of weeks of OTAs. I think we're in the middle of the second week now. We've got, I think, 3 more days next week. The press is only there for one day each week. They were there last week. They were there this week. We've gotten some of the reports back. And basically, it's just telling everybody where everyone's lining up right now. So, yeah, there was a. Hold on, Bellamy's gagging. Let's hold on a minute. Okay, sorry. My beautiful boy Bellamy was trying to hack up a fur ball. I've got 12 fur baby cats and I've got a big old dog who's being whiny right now because his mama came home for just a minute and he misses his mom. You want to give him dad a kiss? Come up here, give me a kiss. Come on, get up here and give me a kiss. Show everybody what you look like. Come on, come on. Here's my perfect dog right there. His name is Tootsie Roll. He's giving me some hugs. I miss him, Mom, right now. But his mom's gonna come home soon. Your mom's gonna come home soon. My beautiful boy. And he gets along with all 12 of my cats because he's the best dog in the world. Okay, let me talk to the people. All right. Okay, so what's there to talk about at the OTAs? Yeah, where everybody's lined up, and basically it's we're not really sure anyway. I mean, so I've been saying for months now that Julian Blackman is a much better deep safety than he would be a nickel. I figure he can play nickel, and he will probably factor in as a backup nickel. But Jonas Sanker is the guy that we drafted last year that is great at tackling, who showed he can play deep, but I think in the box is Sanker's best spot. And so Alante Taylor's nickel spot's going to be manned by Jonas Sanker. This is something I sensed, but I went ahead and said Julian Blackman is the nickel because that's what every Saints content provider and reporter was saying. And I thought it was a bad idea because Julian Blackman suffers with shoulder injuries throughout his career. And why would you put him up to the line of scrimmage expecting him to play a safety type nickel spot, which is what Brandon Staley runs? And so there you go. The OTAs told us that. Sanker's going to be in the box. Blackman's going to be deep with Reed. And Blackman and Reed, being two veterans, are going to be able to adjust the secondary. They're going to be able to make calls back there, and that sounds great to me. So who's the backup nickel? Well, in OTAs right now, your primary backup is cornerback Jaden Price. Then your third backup nickel is Beanie Bishop, a guy that so Price is a cornerback, kind of out of position for the Saints. They like safeties there, but that's who's been doing the backup. And then your third was Beanie Bishop, a guy that's going to be suspended at the beginning of the year. He won't even be available to us. So that leads me to believe that a guy like Terrell Burgess at safety would likely be a backup nickel, along with Julian Blackman if they really feel like he can do it. So yeah, Sanker will do it. Sanker will be our starter, and Sanker will be the guy every time we need a nickel. If something happens and Sanker gets injured, knock on wood, then OTAs tells you Jaden Price will be the next man up. I don't even know if Jaden Price makes the final roster. And then your third backup's Beanie Bishop, according to OTAs. And that's a guy that's going to be suspended, probably not going to make the roster. So I personally think your backup's going to be Julian Blackman. If Sanker goes out, you're going to have Jordan Howden playing deep with Reed at safety. And then I think your next backup would be a guy like Terrell Burgess. I'm not sure if Terrell Burgess makes the 53-man roster. If they think Jaden Price can play special teams as well as Burgess, and if they think Jaden Price can be a guy that can play outside cornerback and nickel, then you'll go ahead and keep a instead of Terrell Burgess, you'll keep a Jaden Price. What else did we learn from OTAs? Everybody's bigger and faster. Okay, we kind of figured that. I heard one Saints content provider, they clickbait baited me into clicking on the video, acting like we had some confirmation about the offensive line after OTAs. Well, I thought they heard something that we didn't hear. Because in OTAs, the offensive line doesn't have contact. All they do is line up. So what was the major news? David Edwards looks good. Clickbait. How can David Edwards look good in OTAs when he didn't do anything? Yeah, tell you what they said. Oh, he's 6'6". The guy he's standing next to is 6'4", 6'5", so he looks good. This is the reason why I haven't been doing videos the last couple of weeks. Could have done videos if I wanted to be a manipulative SOB and put stuff like a lot of these other Saints content providers put. I'm looking at you, Trizzy, with your breaking news red alert, and you got thousands of people clicking on your video, and all you're doing is blowing hot air. That's all you're doing. Oh, red alert, red alert. Some more news for Alvin Kamara. What happened? He showed up to OTAs for half the day. One OTA. Oh, everybody's excited. He never shows up for OTAs. Now they're doing videos trying to ponder what it meant. What it meant was Alvin Kamara wanted to show everybody he's in shape. He wanted to meet his new teammates. There's a big roster turnover right now. Plus, you got a new coach. I think it would be beneficial if Alvin Kamara was here every day, but he's not. I don't know if he's contractually obligated to be here every day in order to get the money. If he just shows up for a half hour, he gets the money. I don't think it works that way. So Kamara's out about $300,000 or $400,000. Doesn't bother him any. He's a rich man. Other business interests, and he's not even interested in football. So, he's interested in playing well with the Saints. He's interested in being in New Orleans during the football season. But I don't even think that that's news. So these OTA breakdowns, it's great. You go ahead and you listen to the reporters that are actually there watching the one thing they watch. What else did we learn from OTAs? All of our major draft picks this year are barely participating. Everybody's on a schedule. Everybody's on a timeline. Everybody's recovering from an injury. So yeah, Jordan Tyson's not even really out there. He's out there in uniform, but he's not doing much. Christian Miller, our second round pick, he's out there in uniform, but he isn't doing much. They're all being eased in. We want to have these guys ready for training camp. Well, I'm glad they're on the sideline learning stuff. They need to learn the playbook. They need to learn how we operate as a professional team. Your third round pick, Oscar Delp, tight end. He was involved in the first day of OTAs, and then he came up lame on a play, and then after that, he was doing some drills on the side. But yeah, these guys aren't even really participating right now. So hold on one second. All right, I had to sneeze. So yeah, basically, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer about all of it, but a lot of it's just not really news to me. I'm not there during these OTAs, so I'm not going to pretend to be a reporter, and I'm not going to do videos saying Alvin Kamara traded to the Packers? Question mark. So you'll click on it, and so then I can tell you my opinion about whatever. We we don't know what's going to happen. I know Alvin Kamara's under contract. I don't care how everybody's talking about it from the front office. I don't care. It's between Mickey Loomis and Alvin Kamara's agent. And when they figure it out, we're going to figure it out. As long as Alvin Kamara shows up, he's certainly going to get run with the team. He's going to play with the team. I don't think he was involved in 7-7s in the little short time he was there. He showed up to talk to Travis Achan. He showed up to talk to everybody we just drafted. He showed up to talk to the new free agents. He showed up to make sure he still had a locker. But he's under contract. Man's going to get paid. So I'm sorry. That's just the way I am. A lot of this, and I'm going through some stuff outside of this stuff, and I'm focusing on that right now instead of all of this. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if Jeremiah Wright's going to take Cesar Ruiz's place. We'll see when we see. I don't even think OTAs are giving you confirmation of backups at positions or are really potentially even starters because some certain players don't participate in certain days, and so you're going to have to throw somebody else up there. I mean, a channel that I love is New Orleans Football, and they were talking about kind of freaking out about how Devon Bailey was the holder. Well, if Ryan Wright, the punter, who's going to be our holder, if Ryan Wright's not participating one day, well, who's the backup holder? It's Devon Bailey. Well, they were excited. They didn't know. And I'm excited. That's great. Devon Bailey played quarterback in high school. So, hey, maybe there's some trick plays that we can run if Devon Bailey's the holder. But when the season starts, Ryan Wright's going to be the holder, and you're not going to have Ryan Wright doing a trick play and throwing the ball. And if you have Devon Bailey as the holder, it's kind of a tell. It's just one of them things. Now, we love the Saints. We love talking about the Saints. I'm going through stuff right now. I don't have time to produce videos to try to trick you into watching my videos. That's what I'm getting out of OTAs right now. We're gonna see what happens. We can start asking these questions legitimately whenever training camp starts. Okay. Now, that's my OTA breakdown. What about my 53-man roster prediction? That one's tough because I'm not sure myself what to do with the defense. So I'm going to pull up my prediction 53-man roster for the offense. Here's the big screen version of my prediction of the final 53 on offense. As you can see, Zach Wilson isn't there. There's just too many positions to deal with to have a third quarterback. Can we keep Zach Wilson on the practice squad? I'm not sure. If we have to make a roster spot for Zach Wilson, you're going to have to figure out who else to get rid of on the 53-man roster that I'm going to show you. And yeah, I would rather have no backup quarterback and a couple of people a phone call away, a couple of people on the practice squad, than to carry a third guy. Zach Wilson may be on this list if we trade Spencer Rattler. And there have been some reports that Zach Wilson looks better than Spencer Rattler right now. So maybe Zach Wilson's there instead of Spencer Rattler. But other than that, I think we only carry two quarterbacks. Six wide receivers because Barian Brown, I assume, is going to be our return specialist. If you carry five wide receivers, then I guess the odd man out here would be Jalen Polk. And if Jalen Polk is going to be a part of this team, he not only needs to be a really good wide receiver, he's going to have to play special teams, which means he's going to have to cover kicks and punts and prove that he can run downfield and tackle. So I don't know if Jalen Polk can do that or not. Maybe Jalen Polk isn't on this list, and maybe it's a fifth wide receiver who can actually play special teams and cover kicks and punts and run down and tackle people. So that's kind of an option there. It's kind of up in the air. There's also the opportunity, there's also the chance that you only carry five wide receivers and you carry four tight ends if we want to lean into the multiple tight end route, which means somebody's going to have to play special teams. So you carry five wide receivers and you add a fourth tight end. That fourth tight end will either be Zaire Mitchell Payton, who's a really good run blocker, or it'll be our draft pick from last year, Maliki Matavau. And they'll be your fourth. One of them will be your fourth tight end, and then you get rid of a wide receiver. At offensive line, right now I have Torricelli Simpkins as the backup center. And I'm not sure what to think about this. I don't think Torricelli Simpkins is ready to play half a season at center. So do we keep Torricelli Simpkins? He can play guard and center. So there's a chance to keep him. But you also got Will Sherman, who's a right tackle, who can also play guard, who's also getting a run during these OTAs and probably through training camp at center. And of course, Cesar Ruiz can always slide over to center. And you've got lots of options at guard. I mean, Sherman can play guard. Torricelli Simpkins can play guard. You've got your draft pick in Jeremiah Wright, and you've got Dylan Reduns who can play left or right guard. So the offensive line is still in question. The one player that I question here on my prediction is Torricelli Simpkins. But I have him right now as the primary backup center, or at least another interior offensive line option. All right, that's the offense, and I'm more certain about the offense than I am at defense. And I'm going to pull up the defense, and I have more than the amount of players we'll keep here. There's one extra player here if you're going to count to 53, including your special teams. Your special teams will probably be Charlie Smith at kicker, Ryan Wright punter, Zach Wood as the long snapper. So these players highlighted are the ones that I'm just not sure of. I've got Cam Jordan here. I think we re-sign Cam Jordan. If that happens, then a guy like Anthony Jennings might be on the chopping block. Either him or Tyree Wilson. With Tyree Wilson, we spent a draft pick to go and get. Now you keep the best players, but I'm thinking if we do re-sign Cam Jordan, there's an odd man out, and that odd man out might end up being Anthony Jennings. Jennings is a good run stopping outside linebacker slash edge rusher. He hasn't shown a lot as far as rushing the passer. Tyree Wilson, on the other hand, can also put his hand in the dirt and play defensive end. Cam Jordan can also put his hand in the dirt and play defensive end. So if we keep Cam Jordan, we get rid of Anthony Jennings. I still have an extra player here. I'm looking at special teams. Jalen Ford, being a fifth linebacker and a pretty good special teamer, is a guy that we carried on our active roster last year. There's a chance we don't carry him this year and only go with four linebackers. That's sketchy to me. But if that happens, it's because we keep a guy like Terrell Burgess who can also play special teams. I've also got Jaden Price listed here. Jaden Price, if he becomes a better nickel option than Terrell Burgess, Jaden Price could be your guy here instead of Terrell Burgess. So you get rid of Terrell Burgess and you keep Jaden Price. If you don't re-sign Cam Jordan, Anthony Jennings is your man. You still have an extra guy there. So Jalen Ford could be on the outs if we end up keeping Terrell Burgess, or if Price is a good special teamer. And I've got Davin Godchaw highlighted. There's a chance we get rid of Davin Godchaw. It'll make us really thin on the defensive line. On this list, I've got Christian Miller as a defensive end because he's going to play tackle and end. You get rid of Davin Godchaw, Christian Miller becomes your starting nose tackle. I think we keep Jonathan Ridgeway instead of Christian Boyd. We just paid Jonathan Ridgeway a bunch of money, and he can play all along the defensive line. Christian Boyd's kind of stuck in that nose tackle spot. If you're short a player on the defensive line, you have to consider not only Tyree Wilson, who can put his hand in the dirt. If we re-sign Cam Jordan, he can put his hand in the dirt. And then who's going to fill the gap at edge? Well, that could very well be Caden Ellis, who can play edge and can rush the passer. If that happens, then you're really short at linebacker, which makes me think we're going to keep Jalen Ford at linebacker. So if I had to get rid of one player on this list to make us a 53-man roster, it would be Cam Jordan. We just don't re-sign him. And if we get rid of Davin Godchaw, man, that's going to make us thin on the defensive line. But if we re-sign Cam Jordan, we get rid of Davin Godchaw, your nose tackles will be Christian Miller and then Ridgeway, and then Vernon Broughton can also play that spot as well. So yeah, I'm a little up in the air as far as the 53-man roster goes with defense. That's why I've highlighted those players, and that's the caveats to all of those. Well, there you go. That is my breakdown of the OTA so far and my 53-man roster prediction, which isn't really a solidified prediction. But like I said, you're not going to learn anything until training camp, these joint practices that we're planning. And then you've also got to consider injuries and stuff like that. That's going to make a dent in all of this. Sorry I haven't done videos every week. I've been picking up extra shifts at work. It's slow at work right now, so I'm trying to pick up extra shifts so I can maintain my hours. I'm also going through personal stuff, and this is the best time to do it. In my opinion, this year is a year of change. That means we should all change ourselves. We should quit watching the news. We should all start putting positive vibes into the world. Take care of yourself. That's what you have the most control over. Don't let everybody else's BS bring you down. And change as far as the Saints football team. Yeah, the roster is going to change. The final 53-man roster the week before the first regular season game is probably going to change as well. Lots of change. But the big change I see in the future for the Saints is we're going to be a winning team. We're going to go out there and we're going to actually compete and we're going to be in the conversation. I think Tyler Shuck is a great quarterback. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to have a lot of really good players to choose from, to throw to. Now, worst case scenario for this team, and I'm kind of projecting deep into the future here. Worst case scenario for this team, that wide receiver core. Let me pull up the offense right here before I end this video. Your top three wide receivers, in my opinion: Chris Olave, concussion issues; Jordan Tyson, overall injury issues, but the hamstrings especially; and number three, Devon Bailey, shoulder injury issues. Worst case scenario is you got to go into a game next year and you're down because of a concussion, a shoulder, and a hamstring. You're down your top three wide receivers. Well, I think you're still looking better than last year, especially better than the year before, because we had these issues at wide receiver. Injury issues had prompted us to play guys like Samori Torre last year, who's not on the team anymore. We got rid of Samori Torre. He is signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. And playing guys like Ronnie Brown and Kevin Austin Jr., who is, a pro that's going to end up on our practice squad. I think we're pretty way deeper at wide receiver. Worst case scenario, you lose your top three wide receivers for a couple of games, and I think you're looking way better than you have in the last couple of years. If I have to start a game next year, this year coming, with Bryce Lance and Jalen Polk as our starters, with Barry and Brown, and then you have to bring up a Kevin Austin or a Ronnie Bell, or maybe we keep Mason Tipton on the practice squad. Yeah, that seems like a better case scenario. Even at worst case scenario in the future for this year, it's a better situation than we've had in the past. The running back situation, Alvin Kamara, and I think Kendre Miller makes this team if he's healthy. But I love Audric Estime. I'm of the belief you just cut ties with Kendre Miller and just ride with Audric Estime. But when Kendre's healthy, he looks like a beast. So got Kendre Miller as our third guy, Devin Neal as our fourth running back, and then hopefully you have a couple of good players on the practice squad. Audric Estime, if you could keep him, maybe the Ty Chandler guy, maybe C.J. Donaldson, is a really good undrafted guy we got. So yeah, I think our offense looks way better this year. I think our offense struggled a lot last year, and I think this year coming up, the offense is going to be way better. The defense, pull that up one more time. The defense, we've still got to figure out edge rusher, whether Cam Jordan's coming back or not, and then we have to figure out who's actually going to be on this team on the defensive line, defensive end, defensive tackle. We got a lot of good players here. Xavier Harris. He's a guy I think you can definitely put on the practice squad. Nobody wanted to sign that guy to a contract when he was available after the draft. So everybody wants Xavier Harris to be so good. He earns a 53-man roster spot, but I think the practice squad is a perfect spot for him. And the edge rusher and Heldman would be a good uh, practice squad guy, along with Fadil Diggs. Chris Rump is a guy you can't sleep on because, he's been with this Staley defense before, and he had an active roster spot last year. So, yeah, Cam Jordan, whether we re-sign him or not, is gonna have a big say in our front seven. I like the versatility of Caden Ellis to be able to rush the passer at edge and play mostly linebacker, of course. And then your secondary, who's going to be the nickel? I think it's Sanker. I think your primary backup nickel will likely be Julian Blackman if we like Jordan Howden deep, or we go ahead and keep Jaden Price instead of Terrell Burgess and have him as the third guy or the second guy. Terrell Burgess is a good guy to keep for special teams and depth, and he could be that guy. Lots of questions still to be answered. So we'll see. I'm Joe. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos about the Saints. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?